Probably gonna do once. Yeah, should have. I'm gonna take out the battery, but I'm gonna check some of these screws on this drill because some of the shell is a little bit off. But put that back in, or screwed that back on. So this side is the screws are gonna only be on one side. So I'm gonna try to rotate it to here and then try to put the top piece on. All right, so this is the top piece. Yeah, just could basically sort out and clean up a few things. I'm gonna actually dust off this towel if I could. And for the fence pieces, I have a few 1.5-inch zinc type of screws or whatnot. So I've got separate size screws. So those are gonna be pretty much a lot more sturdier than nails and stuff like that. All right, so just both of these sides, the ends should fit just right on top, stuff like that. Pre-piloting and basically off somehow. I could try to just center as much as I can, and maybe at the end I could grind off any of the extras. So it's going to be a few things up to that, but for the most part it's mostly straight, or it's going to. So this drill bit is already finished up. I got to grind that down and use it for something else. It's finished. All right, so this actually feels a lot strong. The other one was copper, so it was grinding down quite a bit. I'm actually going to jump on this side, so that side is just fastened. Things will pivot if I need any adjustments. This first pilot is good, and things. I'm not sure about the others. They're barely, but those pilots over there are pretty good. So I'm gonna probably just pilot this, screw this one in, and then work on just giving this a little bit more more alignment. It's just a little too close to the edge, basically. So, and yeah, I gotta grind down as much as I can later on. But this is pretty firm. It's pretty solid and firm and things. And I'm also gonna add some kind of angle corners, but yeah, just kind of working where I can, especially when there's not too many gaps, whenever, kind of keeping that in mind. But yeah, I'm going to try to use this drill, and then add some pilot, and then add one screw and pivot. All right, I didn't even repilot. Things started looking straight to me, but I split the wood. Is quite old, but it kind of split it, so I got some wood glue right here. I'm going to back out, or try to go in a little bit to spread it, or maybe just keep it as is. But I'm trying to squeeze a little bit of wood glue in there. So I kind of opened up the gap a little bit more. I'm going to use a small piece of plastic that I found, or saw in my supplies. Basically have like a small strip of plastic like this, and I'm going to use it to push this wood glue in there, and I'll see you right back. Alright, so this is kind of the wood glue spread it on. So I could add a little bit more, but we'll loosen up the screw and it's going to compress, or there's glue in good spots, so that it's going to try to give it a little bit of a bond. But a lot of the glue did squeeze out as expected, and I'm going to let that dry overnight. So fastened down. I didn't even repilot it. It just seems to line up a little bit here and there. Alright, so I could kind of rinse and wash this off while I can. I kind of glued these gray pieces on these clamps. I got a 3 and or actually a 6 and a 12-inch, $3 a piece. So I got pretty much a kit for something like this. So I just want to show that off a little bit. Just adding some 5-minute epoxy just to help support and keep these rubber feet on these, so I don't actually lose them. I almost lost them at the store. So these bits are actually really good. They lock in, you know, or this one and stuff. The screws are driving pretty good, I would say. But what's going to happen is I've got to, you know, after this dries up, or it's probably not going to do too much, but I could use one of those C-clamps. So, or I'm going to call it, they're called bars, but I'm going to use one of these. So that might be on a little too tight, and even the screws on there, but it did push out some, it did squeeze in a little bit more. So pretty good tool for something like this. Screws that could push. So yeah, all the casing screws were, you know, just a quarter turn loose, but just tighten those. Back piece is all connected. I also already took apart the flap that glues the box. That's going to be most of the side of this grind box. So now I've got this piece of wood and another piece of wood that actually is going to try to mimic, but it doesn't have to be that as tall as these pieces. But I'm basically trying to make a box because I need to grind down. And I mean, people that don't have a box would just go outside and grind that down. But I just don't feel like carrying this out and then carrying it back in. I just need to grind this and then pretty much replace. So I got a 38. This is like 37 3/4. It's going to be 38 inches. So I'm going to take out, it's off a quarter of an inch. I just want it to be as exact, I guess, for what I've got built up and stuff. So, and the wood has splitted a little bit. So I put in some wood glue and used a bar clamp. But I just need to grind this down, and I'm just going to just keep it like this. I could turn it upside down, but the angle grinder guard is going to not be able to get an even, you know, I need to, the top, this side of the above surface cleared up so the guard doesn't, you know, get blocked, basically. Taped up, and the box has to surround this because I just don't want all the dust and stuff flying everywhere. So I'm kind of building this box, which is right here. So what I'm going to try to do is mark out, and it's the back flaps are going to be glued and taped together. This piece of cardboard would be nice just for a work cardboard and stuff. So it needs to be at least right here, just so the angle or the grinder could kind of go in there, the sander, I would say. So I've got a few things planned out. This may take 1 or 2 days to finish up. Things like that. I'm actually using pieces that I'm trying to make corner supports, but I just need to trace out that piece. And you know, when I grind this down, most of the dust is going to be contained. It's not going to blow everywhere or something like that, and then I could just close everything up and pretty much. But the hard part is pretty much putting the box on and then adding a couple pieces of tape. But since I already pried the box open, basically that the shelf is going to be, or the wood is going to be sticking through the box, and I could kind of grind it. So I just traced out pretty much a rectangle. That's a good position. And then pretty much the same thing with this side, but it does, you know, require to be, you know, just lined up with that. So Things like that have to be considered. I could also more pieces of wood to actually bring it up a little higher so that the grinder won't get blocked. So I've got two more spare corner pieces, and then just kind of leveling things up and bringing it to a good height, so that things won't. And then and this would be the actual wood that I've got to cut or grind as a reference, but I also have to have something holding up this, so I've got kind of like a plastic tube or something like that. But I'm just going to try to mark just a rough mark to kind of have things lining up at a good height and distance, and then now I'll be able to have a good guide to know where I need to cut and stuff. And there's the next one. It could be a little bigger or basically, but I've got to find a way. Preferably the back. I don't want everything going towards me, so I could probably make a couple straight lines and then this box could just slide, and then I'll find a way to uncut the flap. Actually, most of the box is going to be pretty solid, so I'm going to just line up a couple pieces of wood here and there. Alright, so I just drew out whatever I could, so I'm going to, and definitely where the rectangles are. So besides where the rectangles are, I need that material. I might even add some cardboard on the outside to really, or to kind of like underneath and things like that to help. The most straight. So that's basically as good as I could get it. This piece is going to be able to open and close, and the wood should be able to. I'm going to cut it a little bit, trim it up a little bit because the size might be too exact or something. So yeah, lining up whatever I needed to really kind of pulls off most of this. This other piece, I'm gonna try to just where the rectangle needs to be cleared out. So I guess the only way to check if this is going to work is just putting some wood through there, and it fits pretty nicely. And I'm trying to build this box basically, so this is pretty much a grind, just so trying to clean up and have things ready for the next thing. So so I glued down the flaps. So this is just mainly water, and then this is actual detergent, but I'm just trying to clean this box up. So I'm going to try to get access to that. So I pulled all the flaps in. And yeah, what I cut out is still there. It wasn't just some made up project. And these are supposed to, be able to allow the wood that. So I just need to actually glue. So I glued this piece and I taped it down, hoping it should be. I'm probably going to turn it to one side and pretty much get the glue, but I kind of turned it to one side so I could pretty much put a little bit of weight on there. I'm probably going to use a different piece of wood, and it should be glued up, and or a small piece. It's basically a box. I added duct tape in strategic spots to really hold this together, and silicone and some duct tape. Alright, so I got the tape and added some silicone on this cardboard. It's on both sides and stuff. Piece of tape is on there.